Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Otakuology podcast. I'm your host, Otaku Mike. With me, as always, is my heterosexual podcast partner, Jen.
What's up?
And we are here going back to our roots, our podcast roots, and we are talking about some manga. We've actually covered a couple of these short stories before. We are looking at Akira Toriyama's manga Theater. And today we are looking at Pink, the Rain Jack story is what it's called. Have you heard of this manga before, Jen?
Um, yeah, when you told me we were going to cover it earlier.
When I told you we were going to cover it?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? This manga came out in the Fresh Jump magazine. It was a short story, like I said, by Akira Toriyama. It came out October 23rd, 1982. So this story is older than me and you.
Oh, I bet.
Which it's interesting to see, like, as we're going through these different stories and the different eras of Toriyama within his career, because, you know, a lot of people know Toriyama for Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball.
Right.
But a lot of people don't seem to know, well, at least a lot of Western fans seem to know about his short stories. And that's why I kind of wanted to cover these and whatnot. I told you, hey, let's get this book, let's cover them, and we've covered a few stories. This manga had an anime for it. It had a 31-minute anime movie. It was called Pink Water Bandit Rain Bandit, is what it was called, and it came out July.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is, and it came out in July 7th of 1990. But it's funny, like, this is called Pink, and then it became subtitled like Pink, the Rain Jack story is what the story were called, but the anime is called Pink Water Bandit Rain Bandit is what it's called. So, like, it's interesting. It's interesting to see when I was looking up images for this manga.
Yeah.
The the male character, which his name is like Cobalt Blue, he has a different character design than in the manga. Like, his character design in the anime is different, which is weird.
That's crazy.
He doesn't look like Yamcha anymore in the anime.
That's pretty crazy because there's a lot of characters that look like Yamcha.
In this book, yes.
Which, it's funny. So whenever we were talking about doing this, I was also trying to look on, like, the cover and the back art and see if I could find, like, one of these characters in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I found Pink, which is the one that's on the back of the book, in the Suzuki with the old man.
Oh, with the elder?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think... Yeah, because Cobalt's on the back, too. And I think that might be Dragon Boy in the next to them, or... Because there's another one called Dragon Boy. I believe it's called. No, it's not Dragon Boy. It's somebody else, it looks like. But yeah, it's interesting to see all the different characters Akira Toriyama comes up with. Because this one reminds me a lot of Launch. Like, her style looks like Launch and Bulma, like, crossed together.
That's true. Now, I am pretty shocked to not hear anything bad about Akira Toriyama with this one, because we have, like, a lot of people like to nitpick on, like,
fan service.
Where some of the people get, like, their stuff from.
Yeah.
Like, think about how long in the recent years, like, we've gotten where everybody's brought up, like, getting favors or whatever from, like, a fan that's underage or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And we have this scene right here where the sheriff walks in where the girl has just
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I don't want to interrupt you, but we'll get to that scene because I kind of want to talk about it.
Okay.
When we get to it. But let's start this off and let's start talking about this. So we meet our titular character Pink with her little dinosaur companion Black and her little robot buddy White, which we don't get their names until like halfway through this story, which is funny to see.
Well, somebody who didn't miss the first two
I
pages,
did miss the first 2 pages, yes.
we do get one of their names at the beginning.
Yeah.
We have the little dinosaur guy. She calls him Black,
Yeah,
but
and they're setting up.
we don't get White's name until about the midsection of the story.
Yeah, and they're setting up for some kind of job. We don't know exactly what, but they're looking for something. And they take off, and Pink asks Black, "What's he doing?" And he's just kind of like, "I'm not going to come because I don't want to get hurt," is what he says. And she kind of just takes off on her floater. They call it a floater bike. It's like a hover bike.
Yeah,
Is what they call it. And she kind of zooms through, and I love like this interaction. She is trying to take over this truck, and it's called the Silver Company. Is what the name of the company of that has this truck, and they look a lot like mobsters.
they do.
But we find out that they're actually a water company.
Don't a lot of them look like monsters?
Yeah, which is funny because they're animals too. Well, some of them are animals.
Yeah,
But I love this scene where she is trying to take over this truck, and we see like the guys in the truck. I don't know if should call them mobsters, but the Silver Company thugs. They are trying to take her out, and I love this scene where there's a gorilla hiding behind a rock. He's wearing a nice suit, and he has a gun, and we see her hover bike shoot past the rock, and she kind of does like a fake out to where she's not on the bike, and she actually goes behind him and shoots him in the back with her laser gun.
yeah.
Yeah, which I like. I like this scene. It's real fun.
I thought it was pretty funny too.
Yeah,
Just because like that whole scene happens and he's standing there. So the gorilla guy is one of the mobsters. For anybody that isn't reading this with us,
yes.
um, and it's just kind of funny. Like you have that thing going on, and it's like that oh no moment, and then like in one of the next panels, you see like her standing there, and you're like, whoa, she tricked those guys.
Yeah, she tricked him, and I love that, like the little like sound effect. It's like rat-tat-tat-tat-tat for his like machine gun, and you hear like bang, bang, bang for like the other gun. Hers, it's pew pew.
Yeah,
I just love that little touch. I thought it was so fun because I don't know if we ever see that really like in manga anymore. Like the big old like sound effect, like word bubble balloons and stuff.
yeah.
For
Well, and I think it's kind of funny though that we have these guns. Like you would think a laser gun is stronger than a regular gun.
Yeah.
But Pink tells us in this too that basically it's just a paralyzer gun.
Yeah, it like knocks them out. So she's not like killing them.
Yeah. So it's just kind of funny, like that concept, like we already, especially like in like Fallout and all these other things, like laser guns are worse than like regular guns.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny that was a touch where no, it only stuns. It's not actually a killing.
Yeah. I also like her character design. I like her outfit she's got going on.
Yeah.
It's really nice. So we go from there. We change from that to the Silver Company, and I think his name is just Mr. Silver. I can't remember exactly what his name is. I think it's just Silver.
I didn't even think he had Mr. in his name.
It might just be Silver. And he's like mad. He's angry. He's like, man, how could we have like 200 gallons of water stolen from us again? And he's like, what do you mean it was just one person stealing this water? And we see like the guys in the suit, and they're like the mobster dudes. They're like all sad. They're like, oh, we're sorry, I like the bear in the background wearing sunglasses.
So I really like this part too because we have that whole realization that
Yeah,
it's supposed to be 200 gallons that we're taking,
yeah,
and the car that they're driving is tiny, and you're looking at it and you're like,
yeah.
200
I
gallons?
think it was like 200
What?
liters. They said.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it held 200 liters. I don't know.
I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny
Yeah.
that that whole thing that was in there.
But Mr. Silver calls the sheriff, and the sheriff answers. He's like, "Oh, world famous Sheriff Cobalt Blue," which I mean, that's kind of a cool name for a sheriff. I feel like
Cobalt
Cobalt
blue.
Cobalt Blue.
Yeah.
And he's just eating his food, and the sheriff's like yelling at him while he's on the phone. He's like, "Hey, come on, what are you doing? I got all this water stolen from me." And he's like, 200 liters. Well, that seems like quite a bit of water that was stolen. And he's just taking his time eating, talking on the phone with this guy. He was like, how are you making water? Because we find out that uh,
Yeah. How are you
there's
selling that much?
yeah, how are you selling that much water? Because rain hasn't fallen for like 2 years, so there's been a drought,
Yeah. Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
Well, and we also find out that this wasn't the first time that they were hit.
Yeah, no, it's been a couple of times since they were hit, and he's like, he starts yelling at him. We're like, okay, okay, I will go look for this person that you're speaking of, which is supposedly a small man riding a bike, and you know that's about it. That's what he has to go off of, a hover bike and a short man.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, I'll go and I'll try to find out. He's driving around and whatnot, and he actually we transition from that to back at Pink's place. She's filling up the bathtub. Black's there, White's there with her. Black tries to get some drink on with the water, and apparently, if you don't help with the mission, you don't get to play with the water, drink water.
Yeah. You also don't get dinner because they said
you,
that too.
you also don't get dinner as well. And he's like, he kind of goes and sulks. He's like, fine, I don't want it anyways, And so we see Pink taking a bath because
Oh,
cleanliness is ladiness.
let me ask you.
What?
Do you think this would be the story that triggered like all of like the models and stuff to sell their bathwater?
Maybe.
Because I was reading that part where he was drinking it, and I was like, oh my god, he's drinking her bathwater.
Well, the thing is, like,
She hadn't been in there yet, but yeah,
yeah, she wasn't in it at the time. But I mean, if this is out today, maybe that might happen. I don't know.
right.
But Pink tells Black to go get her undergarments. And so he kind of like rushes off to go get the undergarments. And what happens next, Jen?
We have where Cobalt Blue walks in. Excuse me, ma'am, into the house and
Yeah,
sees her naked.
yeah, because he starts putting two and two together. He's like, "Oh, there's a hoverback right there," and he walks in. He just walks into this house, just knocks and walks in. I guess maybe they don't lock their doors in this place.
I don't even know if the door was closed all the way.
Yeah,
So
but we get this scene where you kind of alluded to this before, but Cobalt gets presumed to be a peeper because he sees Pink in her birthday suit. She's all naked, you know.
well, and they don't really like touch on it too much. Like
No,
it
they
doesn't.
don't. They don't touch on it too much. He's like, "Oh my god, you're a peeper." And he's like, "Whoa, whoa, hold on, I'm a police officer." And he
The
like,
shows towel on.
yeah, and he like shows their badge and whatnot, and he's like, "Hey, you got a bike out here and stuff, and whatnot." And is that yours? He's like, "Yeah, it's my bike." And he kind of like, "Okay, well, have a nice day." And
Where's your parents?
yeah, where's your parents? I don't have any parents. They died 2 years ago. And I was like, oh my god, like this,
Same time.
same time as the water.
Yeah.
Which, so is it just me, or does her like height change throughout this story. So she gets really short whenever Cobalt shows up.
I don't think so. I think it's just like an optical illusion.
Uh-huh.
I think they zoom in on her more whenever he's not around, but to
Uh-huh.
fit him in there, they zoom out.
Okay, because like from what I've gathered, she's maybe a teenager,
Yeah,
I'm guessing. And we come to find out she actually has a crush on Cobalt Blue, is what we
yeah,
find out.
yeah. I would say she's probably like 16 ish,
And he's what, probably in like his early 20s, maybe.
probably.
Maybe
Um,
this could be a problematic relationship.
yeah, I'd say she's 16 just because she has the pictures of him hanging on her wall like
Yes,
Backstreet Boy posters.
which she had. Was it Black take the pictures of those like a year ago?
Yeah,
Which is funny to see. Like, oh, like she has a crush on Cobalt Blue. I mean,
yeah,
he's not a bad looking dude. He just looks like Yamcha.
that's true. A lot of people look like Yamcha.
Yeah, but we go from there to Black is still looking for Pink's underwear. He puts it on his head, and we find out that these aren't Pink's undergarments. These are her dad's. And we see Pink go, "Hey, what'd you do with my undergarments? Like, why don't you get the ones?" She's like, "Oh, I found these here up in the attic. Very convenient. With a very convenient
Right,
box
right in a treasure
in a
chest.
treasure chest." What what was going through your head when you got through this part?
I was like, why would somebody go all the way to the attic to find underpants?
Yeah, it
And then
was.
for two, I was like, what is all this stuff in the treasure chest?
Yeah, because they find a stuffed animal, some hard candy, a raincoat, a poster, a necklace, and then like some records
Yeah,
is what they find. And they find a
and the underpants.
umbrella
And the
and
underpants.
the underpants, apparently. And she's like, "Oh man, this must be my mom's stuff." And I love this little comment from Black to where she's like, Black's like, "Oh man, why did her mom keep her dad's underwear in a special box? She must have been a pervert."
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah. I like that part too. I thought that was a pretty good touch on the rest of the story to make that part at least like really memorable.
yeah,
And how it segued into our next part, like with the rain jacket and all that other stuff.
yeah,
Of course, it's funny that she does that and she pulls out the umbrella and she's imagining like her and Cobalt being able to walk together,
mhm.
which is kind of a little bit of foreshadowing for what
At the
happens
end.
later. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Uh,
this. I love the scene where Black's pouring like the garden watering can on top of the umbrella
yeah.
to simulate rain. I thought that was a little cute touch.
I thought it was too. And I think he's got like the really good comments in this series because
Yeah,
he's like, no, I'm still going to say this is a bad use of this water that we
yeah,
stole.
yeah. And then so you get this scene where she's like dreaming, like you said, and she kind of like pops out of bed, and she's like, we hear like, "What, are you serious?" And she starts getting ready, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to the Silver Company's headquarters and get all the water." Is what she says, and Black kind of stops, and he's like, "No, I'm not going with you," because he's a coward. We
Yeah.
can just say it. He's a coward.
She goes with white.
She goes with White, and then
And
we
then
see,
we have the whole little scene where we go back to Cobalt where
yeah,
he's got like a little pan of water
I love this scene. It's funny.
and he's wiping like the sweat off of him and stuff like that.
He's taking a whore's bath.
Yeah. And then he's like, has this part where he's connecting dots, and he talks about like the trees that are there, and taking a bath,
Mm-hmm.
and the speeder bike and stuff like that, and somebody that's short. And he's like, oh my gosh, I am so dumb.
He's like, I'm a dumbass.
Yeah, which I love that was an acknowledgement that was put in here, because you
Yeah,
don't really ever have characters like it dawns on them and they don't ever like talk about it. They just go,
yeah,
oh shit, and they run off.
yeah. He's like, I'm a fucking dumbass.
Yeah.
And we see Pink zoom off, and Cobalt's zooming off to Pink's place, and he gets to Pink's place, and we find Black, and Black's like, I'm not going to tell you anything. It's a secret that she went to go to the Silver Company. So
Yeah.
he like unintentionally, I guess, rats her out. I don't know exactly.
He wanted some kind of way out
I
so
feel
he could be like, I didn't tell him.
I didn't tell him exactly what was going on,
Yeah.
But what happens next?
Then we come back to her where she's actually in the base,
Mm-hmm.
and she's running around, basically like paralyzing all these other guys. And we get a funny part where she's doing that, where she's like, hey, no fair, y'all are basically using real bullets.
I love this scene. I love this scene of them having the firefight in the hallway.
Yeah.
It's really well done.
Yeah.
And then Silver shows up. He's like, "Oh, we got to call in the reinforcements," which the reinforcement is a samurai.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Where the fuck did this guy come from? Did he just have him in like his back pocket?"
Right
Like,
out of nowhere.
yeah,
And then the whole questioning, is that sword good enough to take care of a gun?
yeah. And he's like, "Oh, I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing." And we have this really cool fight between Pink and the samurai.
Yeah.
And he's actually has the upper hand on Pink at one point, and then somebody shoots the samurai's sword and it breaks.
Yeah. He
And
does the Heats and Mitsurugi style, where he turns his blade backwards and whacks
yeah,
her hand real hard.
yeah, and it's a really cool scene. I feel like when Cobalt shows up, because the Silver's like, oh, finally, you're gonna arrest the bad guy, and Silver's like, oh yeah, I am gonna arrest the bad guy for stealing all the water and whatnot, and he goes to arrest Silver, not Pink, because he kind of puts two and two together that Silver is actually the bad guy.
Well, I think he was going to arrest Pink, and then they had that whole little thing where he was talking about kind of looking around,
Mm-hmm.
and then he finds the little Thunder God guy.
Yeah.
And then he's like, aha, instead of kidnapping for petty theft or whatever, I'm going to get you for, or instead of petty theft of stealing the water, I'm going to get you for kidnapping and basically like
Extorting almost.
yeah, extorting everybody for the prices that he was charging on the water.
Yeah. This is a very interesting reveal that he kidnapped the water god.
Yeah.
And I was kind of taken aback, and I was like, huh, what a plot twist. I would have never thought that you would throw in like a water god to be like, oh, that's the reason why the rain went away.
Yeah. No, I was thinking it was going to be like a machine that like sucked in clouds or something.
Yeah.
And there was no rain because it was getting all the clouds or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so the next day, the rain god's happy that he's free. He lets all the rain out, And we get this scene where Cobalt and Pink are at Cobalt's house, and they're having this conversation. And Pink's like, "Hey, why didn't you arrest me?" And he's like, "Oh, well, you didn't really necessarily do anything wrong. Just don't do it again." Basically, is what he says. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you off. And she's like, "Oh, why don't you please arrest me and send me to prison?" Which I feel like kind of in this part of the story, it gets a little confusing, or maybe she just has a misunderstanding of what prison is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Because she's like, oh, prison isn't your house. And she's like, oh, you can arrest me. It's okay. And he's
You
like,
don't have
no.
to.
He's like, yeah, you don't have to, he's like, and they have a real, like, it's like an awkward conversation, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah.
And we get the,
She was trying to have some reason for him to take her to
yeah,
his house.
yeah. Because, she's got the hots for Cobalt Blue.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, I don't know, And we get to the end, and she's like, hey, join me in the umbrella. And he's like, in the umbrella? What are you talking about? And we see them like floating down. I don't want to say it's like a river, maybe, because we see that the rain god accidentally had a little too much fun, and he flooded a lot of areas.
Yeah.
And we
So now
see
they're riding the umbrella as a
they're
boat.
riding the umbrella, and he's like, hold it like this, and she's like, oh, it's perfect, and she has little hearts going up in her around her, and
Yeah.
that is where this story ends.
Which I'm wondering if it's because she wanted him to hold it that way so that they were kind of touching hands.
I think so too, because she was kind of trying to get close to him.
Yeah.
This manga was this short story was surprisingly really good.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. I think Toriyama does a really good thing of mixing like the sci-fi and fantasy elements together.
Yeah, yes, and this has a lot of callbacks, or not really callbacks. This happened before, but a lot of similarities to Sandland. I feel like,
Yeah. Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah, I felt that way whenever they were talking about the water too.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, if this is a prequel.
it's a prequel to Sandland. Who knew it?
Right.
Oh my god. Um, but yeah, it was really interesting to see. And according to Wikipedia, it's it says Pink has similarities to other Toriyama stories, such as 1981's Pola and Royd. And
Yeah, we did that one.
no, we did Dub and Peter. This one's different. And it says the 2000 series Sandland title character is also compared to the earlier depiction of the Dragon Ball character Yamcha, apparently, because they're both thieves. That's what I don't know. That's what Wikipedia says. But yeah, no, I was pleasantly surprised by this short story, because a lot of short stories can be either hit or miss when it comes to like the length, the enjoyment, one might say, of the short stories.
Yeah.
But this one I was pleasantly surprised. I like the character of Pink, even though she might be a little problematic of possibly wanting to date an adult. We never get her actual age, but
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I'm kind of glad they don't like take that little relationship into like icky territory.
Yeah.
It's kind of like puppy love almost,
Yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah. I feel like it really makes you think though on like like nowadays when some of the other ones like without like hard proof some people call out like other mangaka or whatever
Yeah.
for like the same stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but they take it other people take it into darker waters.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be a reason why they did this character that way, like things
Yeah.
like that instead of whatever else.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's interesting to see. Like, I get what you're saying, because I mean, a lot of people have that problem with some of the characters in like Bakuman or something like that. Like, they called like Bakuman like misogynistic or something.
yeah.
I can't remember exactly what they did, but I mean, like, it's just a sweet story, and I feel like if people read too much into this, in that sense of like, oh, this is like an age gap romance thing, the romance really isn't in a lot of the story.
Right. Right.
It's just really a one-sided romance, I feel like.
Right. Yeah. 'Cause it's like every girl that had a
Like,
poster for their favorite band characters
she's got a
in their
poster
room.
for her favorite sheriff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So, yeah. Yeah. And I feel like that's how kind of part of that stuff goes. But
yeah, yeah. I mean, most people do that. I mean, my daughter has a crush on the Tornado Wrangler from Twisters. So,
oh my gosh.
but yeah, this story was a lot of fun. I don't really have any real nitpicks with it. The only one I could really see is possibly the age gap thing, but I don't think it's a bad thing. Like I've said before, I like the creativity that Akira Toriyama puts in his one shot stories,
Yeah.
and I feel like us covering this possibly can make somebody go or check out his short stories, because I've talked to people before and they've never heard of Akira Toriyama doing anything but Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Uh,
I've heard the same thing.
yeah, which is odd, and I feel like we need. I think we probably got all of his works by now, but like even getting the ones that got animated would be cool to have over here to watch
Yeah. Yeah.
and check out and see.
Yeah. Well, and like books like this, show like the extent of different mangaka's like stuff of what they're
Mhm.
doing. And we have some other ones like the guy that did Fairy Tale. He's got his. It's called The Playground. This one's
Yeah.
manga theater.
Um,
Uh,
Oda
I
has one. Oda has one now.
oh,
The One Piece guy he has a short story book too.
oh, and I know I think I have two other ones from different people, and like it's cool, kind of like seeing like what happened because like some of these are right there that this is probably at least one of these is probably one that they went that could have been a big story like Dragon Ball
Yeah,
or like one of the other ones that never made it to fruition because like an editor told them that it wasn't good enough.
yeah, or just doing a one shot just for fun.
It's true too.
Like taking a break and doing something else for a little bit.
Yeah. So, but a lot of these I feel like also probably wouldn't happen if um we would get more things like this if we didn't have to worry about people that were like pirating and things like that.
Yeah,
And taking that away from like a writer's livelihood, I guess you'd
yeah,
say.
because we even have like the Lupin the Third, uh, like books too that just came out recently.
Yeah, the blue
The,
one.
the blue one and the green one of short stories, which we could cover those too eventually.
That's true. I think I only have the blue one, but
I only have the blue one as well. The green one just came out a couple months ago.
because is it a blue, a red, and a green?
No, I think it's just blue and green for right now.
Okay.
But they're all short stories, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this was a fun little read. I recommend everybody go check out Manga Theater. I mean, we've kind of liked all the short stories he's done so far. So maybe we're just picking out the
Yeah.
really, really good ones at this time.
Yeah, well, and I mean, like knowing that his stuff is comedy based, like I don't think there's a lot that we can complain about,
Yeah, yeah,
other than like maybe it was a joke at the time that like maybe we weren't getting or
yeah.
understanding, like
It's a
a
joke. It's
different
like,
time period.
yeah, generational joke type of thing.
Yeah,
But I mean, like Akira Toriyama has been pretty good with his jokes and whatnot. Like his jokes are very consistent.
yeah,
So like his jokes don't necessarily really change. Like a lot of the jokes that you saw in Dragon Ball, you kind of get in his other works.
yeah,
He just puts a little spin on them, I feel like. I mean, because he's always kind of had like the little pervy fan service jokes and stuff in his work. I know it kind of goes away after a certain part in Dragon Ball and stuff, but he likes to draw. He likes to draw the fan service,
yeah,
which is funny to think about when a lot of people who read his work don't like that. If you get what I'm saying, you know?
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, fan service is bad. Just give me fights. But you got to have the fan service to get the fights. Like you got to have like some levity and stuff. I feel like
Yeah.
show some titties. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this is definitely a fun read. Recommend it. Go check it out. Do you have any final words?
Not really. I mean, stay tuned for more content to come out, or
Yeah.
go back and listen to part of our old ones that we have done.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, obviously they're all pretty fun, and we have fun reading them. And I think it's also probably a lot better than some of like the new manga that you can read. That seems like there's too much different agenda to it. Like this one, it's very simple, and it's just to have you get in the mindset and enjoy it as a story and read.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, we have to break down everything, and
Yeah.
analyze it. And well, like one thing was it the when people analyze like the power levels in like shonen anime.
Yeah.
I don't care what the power levels are. Like it doesn't matter who beats who. Just enjoy this stuff. Like it's not a competition, guys. Okay, it's not a competition. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if Goku can beat Superman or Superman can beat Goku.
Not even in the same universes.
I know, okay? Although, did you hear Naruto and the Ninja Turtles are getting a crossover?
I'm done. They already got a crossover in Fortnite.
That's true, but I mean, they're getting a comic crossover.
No, I don't want this.
What? It's already happening.
No, that's stupid.
Let me give you another one. So Usagi Yojimbo crossed over with the Power Rangers.
I'm okay with that.
But you're not okay with ninjas crossing over with ninjas?
No, I'm not okay with
Why?
combining. I'm not okay with combining those universes.
Can we cover it for the podcast?
No.
No. You're putting your foot down, you're vetoing us?
Yeah, I'm vetoing it.
Veto.
Veto.
I wonder
They can put the turtles with
the turtles come out with everybody. Like
they can come out with Godzilla or something like that. That's fine. I don't want to have to worry about the other stuff though.
But Naruto is crossing the line.
Yeah. Keep my comic people away from my anime people.
My manga people.
Yeah. Keep my manga away from my comics, okay?
Like the Offspring say, you got to keep them separated.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Okay.
Don't ruin my shit.
You gotta stay over there.
Yeah, don't ruin my shit like that.
Stay in your black and white world.
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounded bad. Don't say that.
I meant ink and paper.
Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're going to be covering more of this sporadically. But after this episode, we should get back to our Gungrave coverage. And then we're going to switch it up with Bubblegum Crisis as well. And throw in a couple more of these moving forward.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed.
Let us know your feedback.
Yeah, give us your feedback at Otakuology on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You can hit us up on our Instagram at Otakuology. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Unless you're a hater, don't hit me up on my Instagram.
Hit us up if you're a hater. Hit us up if you hate the podcast.
Don't do that.
Let us know your thoughts.
Because we'll see you next Tuesday.